Hi, I'm your Professor Steve Cave. I am your teacher for this class this summer. I want to make a video to welcome you to the class and to walk you through just some of the basics of Canvas and the class and what to expect. This class is all available right now, right here at the beginning. And I wanted you to know that right up front because I know a lot of you, especially if you take this class this way, where it's asynchronous and during the summer, you're probably dealing with your own summer plans. You probably want to take this class at your own pace. So now you can. There are things that are, of course, due, but you can work ahead if you want to. I don't mind at all. But there are certain things that you need to do each week, even so, like discussions and whatnot. Since we don't meet, there's discussions that take the place of that. So I wanted to walk you through all of that today as quickly as possible in a video. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize myself over here. And let's look at this. So the class mostly lives in the modules. That's what we're looking at right now is the modules section. The first module here, your online orientation module. This is for, like it says here, anybody who's new to Canvas, Teams, or online learning. A lot of basic general stuff on how to, like, what is a module? How to schedule time to do classwork, how to upload a profile picture for Canvas, things like that. So that's a pretty basic one. The next one, research guides. This is stuff that you're going to be using in this class. This class, English 101, basically is how to write a research essay. That's really what the class is about. So the main things we're going to cover, the big things are how to find good sources, how to tell whether or not they're good sources, and then how to use those sources in an essay. That's really it. And then within that essay, how to write an essay that is within a specific format. The format we're going to be using in this class is called APA. So there are two big ones in America that gets used, APA and MLA. You might have heard of that. So the APA stands for the American Psychological Association, which you don't need to know. And there was a war at one point between different essay formats, and the two that are at the top at the moment are APA and MLA. We use APA because it's what gets used in science, in the sciences. MLA is what gets mostly used for English. And so since most of you are getting jobs out of this school, like you're in here because you're pre-nursing, or maybe you're not even going to ever write essays in your future. You just are taking this class to get the credit. Whatever it is, that type of writing, that's APA writing. So we want to teach you how to write a technically correct, specifically correct essay. So that's what this class is going to cover. So anyway, back to minimizing myself. So that means you're going to have to know how to research. So up here, there's this module. You're going to come and use this module from time to time. So this is where it is. I walk you through, there's documents here that you can come back and use again and again. You don't need to memorize any of this. It's here. It's going to be here the whole quarter. This is your reference. There's no textbook for this class, so think of this as these are your textbooks. There is using the library to search, and there's how to research it all, and then how to find sources, how to find credible sources, how to use Google Scholar, how to use interlibrary loan and requesting articles from other schools, and then the evaluation processes, how to tell whether or not something's good, a source that you find. So peer review research, the credibility of non-peer reviewed sources, and content accuracy checking. So all of this stuff is stuff we're going to reference later. Don't worry about it right now. But later when I say, go look at the research guide, this is what I'm talking about. And the next thing is basic library research steps. So you can kind of tell there's no textbook for this class, but this is the textbook for this class, right? So this, again, I'm going to reference this. I'm going to tell you to go look at this stuff later. But this is how to research in a library. Step 1, topic definition. And this is a page you can go read, right? And step 2, keywords. 3, perform a search. All these steps all the way down. And then there's a last document on finding library resources, just how to do it. So this is all going to be very useful stuff later. So this is where this all lives. And then the next module is extra credit. So there's a lot of extra credit available in this class, and it just hangs out here with no due date because you can do any of it at any point. Most of it's worth about 10 points, but they're not all the same. Some of them are worth, I think, up to 15. But yeah, it depends. And you can do the ones you want. Some of these are like extra credit where you can work on practicing some English writing skills. And then some are more creative writing practice. I'm a creative writing professor. That's the main type of English that I love. So there are things in there like writing poetry. And then there's a lot of things in here that are critical thinking. So earlier when I said the big takeaways from this class is how to write an essay, That's not the entire story. So yes, I told you everything about the main things I want you to learn are how to write an essay. And in that essay, you need to know how to find sources, how to use sources, how to evaluate those sources. But there's one more piece to this class that goes along with writing this essay, but is also kind of separate from it. And that's critical thinking. This class, one of the primary things you're supposed to learn in this class is a little bit of critical thinking. And that's a tough one to teach, right? We're all trying to learn it all the time. So I have a lot of little exercises we're going to do throughout the quarter. And if you enjoy that sort of thing, then you can do more. So here's some right here. The believing game is critical thinking practice. Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity is critical thinking practice. I think those are the only two. And if you end up wanting more, let me know. Those are my favorite part. So I would love to make more. And then you come to week 1, and this is where you are now. So let's open up week 1. I welcome you to the class. And then the way I break my modules down, hopefully this makes sense, to study and then to complete. Pretty straightforward, right? So this is the stuff you need to study, and then this is the stuff you need to complete. The stuff that you need to study, it'll say read or to watch, depending on what it is. I say read all these. So yeah, read all this stuff. This is instead of having a textbook, right? So read this stuff. If you're the type of person who gets just as much out of skimming, then yeah, go for it. If that's a skill you have, I think I might actually have a practice for skimming later in this class. But yeah, read through those and then work on them. So how the work works in this class, everything in this class has this little icon next to it, which means it's a discussion board. Everything in this class is posted publicly, right? All of your work is going to be shared publicly. So that does a couple of things. One thing it means is if you're ever struggling, you're not sure how to answer a question, you can go look and see what other people have said and get some ideas. That also means that you could plagiarize those people. If you do, you'll fail. So any plagiarism that's caught at all, this is a good time for me to mention this, since we're right here on day 1. Any type of plagiarism that's used, or any unsanctioned use of AI, which right now, don't use AI. You can use AI to help something you've already written to sound better, but I would really rather you not. I would really rather you just use your voice and have it sound like you, and then I can work with you on making your voice sound correct, but still you, right? That flavor, that special flavor that is your voice is really all you have these days. You don't want to sound like AI. I want you to sound like you. So don't use it. Most of the stuff you're going to be writing about is not something you need. But you might want to use AI to hey, how do I write an introduction paragraph? That kind of stuff's totally helpul. And so is Grammarly. Grammarly is totally useful and a good use of AI. But otherwise, what I don't want to see you do is plagiarizing. I don't want to see you copying somebody else. If you ever copy somebody else's work, claim it that's yours, or if you use AI to write something that wasn't yours at all, and then you say you wrote it, that's gross, and it was a waste of your money being in this class. But it's also ugly. And it just results in an F. The first time it happens, it results in an F on that assignment. And the second time it happens, it's an F in the class. So don't copy each other, right? We're all seeing this discussion boards. It rarely happens in this class that people copy each other because everybody can see everything. It's all on discussion boards. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking, oh, I could copy, don't. It also means that our discussions, you have a lot of comments to place, but also means all of that's public. So I'll remind you of the discussion, but please make sure your comments are personal. Every once in a while I'll get a student who thinks they can kind of cut corners by copying and pasting the same comment to a few different people. That's rude. It's just, there's no way anybody's going to feel anything except that's rude. So don't do it, and you also lose the points. Anyway, that's how discussion boards work. If you have any questions about any of that, please let me know. So each week has a discussion board and then some other stuff. Because this class is normally 10, well, really 11 weeks long, but it's squished into 8, our weeks are pretty packed. Every week has several things to do. But the big ones I want you to know about for the quarter are at the end of week 2, so not this week, but next week. At the end of next week, you have your first essay is due. So that is right here. Essay number 1, Exploring Identity. It's a sort of like a memoir, but it's not a memoir. Read it, read the instructions. It'll walk you through. You're telling us a story from your life. So, yeah, that's due at the end of next week. So make sure you're on track to do that. Part of this class, by the way, is exploring identity. That's a big part of this class because you're getting that diversity and social justice credit. In case you didn't know that, the DSJ credit that you need to graduate, you're getting it in this class. And part of that is the way I'm having you explore diversity and social justice is through exploring your own identity, your own sense of identity. I think that's a fun way to do it. So your first essay is due end of next week. And then we actually have some time. Then we start talking about the annotated bibliography. If you don't know what that is, you'll learn about it in week 3. And then week 4, we talk about the final essay. So there are really only 2 essays in this class. There's the first one that's due at the end of next week, and then the last one that's due at the end of the entire course. Between those 2, there's the annotated bibliography, and that's where you're going to do a bunch of research for that final essay. So remember, this class is all about finding, using sources. So that hopefully makes sense why that's how this works. But that'll walk you through that each of these weeks. Introduce the annotated bibliography, then you'll learn about the final essay. And then on week 5, your annotated bibliography, hard to say that fast, is due. And then you start working on that final essay in week 6. Week 7, the final essay is due. And then week 8 is wrap up. So the wrap up, like you might think, shouldn't your final essay be due at the end of week 8? In theory, except that there's wrap up stuff to do. I need your reflections on that essay. So in case you're like, wait a minute, reflections. Yeah. So I'm a professor and I take this seriously and I love to teach. I'm actually a really good professor. In that, I have a master's degree in teaching as well. A lot of your professors don't have that. A lot of them, I have a master's in English, yes, but I also have a master's in teaching. I have a couple of master's degrees. So because of that, I understand the value of metacognition, and I'm going to have you do a lot of that. So you're going to do a lot of reflecting on your learning and reflecting on your work. That's really where you are going to grow as a writer. So that's my goal for you, is to grow as a writer, to develop your writer's voice, and by the end of this class, to feel more powerful as a communicator through writing. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about any of this, or if you ever feel disconnected from me or anything, I can always make a Zoom meeting, and we can always meet anytime you want. So just let me know. Summer's pretty open for me. But yeah, I'm excited to see you guys on discussion boards, and let me know if I can help. And yeah, there we go. Welcome to the class.